Here we go, everybody. Another great episode of the Small Business Safari. About to get down, get rolling, get dirty. We're going to get really into it. If you ever wanted to get some dirty stories down, this is the episode you want to listen to. I can't say stay tuned because we're on it, man, and we're going to get going. So, but before we get started, we've got to say on National Bourbon Day, as we're recording this, hey, cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers to you,
man.
Paul.
Much love, much honor to my George Dickel friend over there in the corner.
That's right. So we have Paul Burleson in studio today from Westlake Royal Products. But this guy, you know what I love about guys when they're younger, they come in and try to get into the company and say, "Chris, I've been in carpentry for 20 years." I'm like, "You're 27." No, I started when I was 7. No, man, that doesn't count, bro. That doesn't work. But this guy truly started sales at 12. At 12 years old, he was selling siding, and we're going to get into this because he's got a great story. And he said, "Hey, there's a story. I really like to start telling a story." And he starts ripping into it a couple days ago. I said, "Man, dude, you're going to have to pause for a minute because I have no idea what this is." And he's like, "Brother, have you been in the home improvement business or what? What's your problem?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I feel like I was so off." And I had to go review it all. And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's right. The Tin Man, he liveth. Or did liveth, as it were." So, Paul, thank you for coming on the podcast. Looking forward to this episode. I've teased it a little bit. We're going to really get into it, though.
Well, it's such a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. I had the opportunity to be in Atlanta doing a couple seminars, and my schedule keeps me busy. I'm traveling all the time, but this is a very important topic for me. So I have been working on this book for 10 years, and I could release it 10 years ago, but I never did because the Tin Man story has never been told. You Google what a Tin Man is, and that's an aluminum siding salesman. You'll find nothing on Google. You go to the 48 Hours, all these YouTube videos, every single thing has been exposed, from the mafia to the Amish to everything. But the Tin Man story has never been exposed because Tin Men don't talk.
And I can verify that because I Googled it before the show today, and the only thing is the Danny DeVito movie.
1987.
I did the same because he said, "I can't find anything." I'm like, "This is crap. There's no way." And I go out there and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." So here we are about to break into, this is like, I think this puts us in the genre of like true life crimes. I mean,
it really is.
Do we need to go into a witness protection program?
We might
after
after this,
Yeah.
Paul.
Well, that's the reason why I waited 10 years. I had 2 individuals waiting to die, and now that they're dead, I can start talking so I wouldn't get whacked.
Nice.
That's how serious this story is, because this was a time that nobody understood, nobody knew about, but it controlled so much of our industry. And for me, it literally changed my life. So I've waited so long. I had a gentleman named Gus Russo who writes many crime novels. He wanted, like 8 years ago, to make this story a movie, but I'm so loyal to this business. At the time, I felt like being blackballed out of this business was not worth whatever amount of money they would pay me, because you're loyal to this game. In my heart, I'll peddle plastics, I'll hit the casket, because that's what I know, and that's how I flow.
I can just imagine our regular listeners are going, "What is going on?" But I like this.
This is
I don't want the usual stuff. This is amazing.
Oh, this is amazing. All right. So, Paul, for everybody, let's level set this again. The Tin Man were aluminum siding salesmen in the 50s and 60s.
So in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of notorious aluminum siding salesmen that you don't know. The 2 top most popular siding aluminum siding salesmen of all time was Johnny Carson.
The Johnny Carson.
The Johnny Carson. You can Google it. It does come up. And Rodney Dangerfield.
No way.
Which I can confirm because I told my sales staff this morning I was coming to do this. And I said, and there was one guy, and the guy, I said it was Rodney. He goes, "Rodney Dangerfield was an aluminum siding salesman in between gigs." I'm like, this is going to be good.
So he was a singing waitress, and he was at the table one day with Johnny Carson when Johnny was a struggling comedian, and he was selling aluminum siding on the side. So Rodney lived in Long Island and would travel across to New Jersey and sell siding, and then he would do the comedy gigs at night, which is a great parallel because you're always performing in the home. So this was a business that started a long time ago, but what people don't understand, the earliest beginnings of this business was controlled by organized crime, because it was all about cons and hustles. And these guys would go in the home and convince people to give them thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'll talk about some of those practices I've never, ever said this in a public format ever before, but I met Chris. I liked him, and I wanted to share the story leading up to my book that's going to be released, Tales of the Last Known 10 Men. And it was a time that people don't understand, right? You got to understand, the mafia is all about cons, and it's all about hustles, and it's all about earning, right? Well, the home improvement business was great because you could go in these small towns or mountain towns, and there was no internet. There was no exposure to anything. And you could tell these people anything they'd believe because they wanted to believe. They wanted to believe that somebody wanted to help them. They never seen a guy come in with a Rolex watch or wearing a fancy suit or driving a Cadillac. When the siding guy came to town, it was a show. And these guys would travel all across the country. They would run rackets, for 2 or 3 months to get the money, then they move on somewhere else.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Did the people ever get siding? Did they just pay too much for it?
They got siding sometimes. A lot of times they paid too much for it. I'll go into some of those stories. But this was a culture that was never discovered like these. Let's talk about the anatomy of what one of these guys looked like. They weren't good husbands to their wives. You'd meet their girlfriend at lunch and their wives at dinner. They weren't a good father to their children. They lived for the score, the con, the hustle 24/7. It was about gambling. It was about closing in the home. It was about getting paid. It was about running women. It was about drinking. It was all about that constant hustle.
Kind of sounds like your day-to-day, doesn't it?
Yeah, actually, we're pretty close. I'm thinking, wow, I'm living the hustle. I'm living the dream, baby. It's the hustle. Conde, there we go.
They made so much money. You understand? They made so much. This is 1983. I'm exposed to this. In 1983, they are making $2,000 and $3,000 commission on the siding job, when minimum wage is $1.65.
Good Lord.
$3,000, right? So my story, you have to back up and figure out where I come from. So, and this is the sad part of my story, but I've told it a million times. I'm very comfortable with it. So I never knew my father. My mother was a known prostitute. I grew up, like I was telling, my friend earlier today, like the first time I ever had a gun pointed to my head was at 6 years old. I watched a guy beating my mother in the living room, and I tried to go to the rotary phone and dial 0 and had a 45 put up to my head. I can still feel what that feels like to this moment. And so I went through that. Then I got hit by a car when I was almost 7, and I was in a body cast for almost 2.5, 3 years, which is a critical point of where I am today. And I was sitting in this body cast, and I had no interaction with kids, and I was all alone right there and having to listen to things that were going on in the bedroom in the back. And so there was a lot of trauma in my life. So when they said, I don't know if you ever walk again, I'm going to walk again. I don't know if it's going to happen. I got hit by a car, a 78 Trans Am on the sidewalk, done 175 stitches in my head. I can show you the scars, broke both my legs, still had metal fragments in, punctured my lung, was not supposed to live. God had a bigger and better plan for me. So about 10 years old, I came out of it, but I didn't have any socialization skills because I hadn't been hanging around kids. So what did I do? I started selling Grit magazine. I never heard of Grit.
I remember Grit magazine.
Right? I'd sit up in front of the Family Dollar and sell Grit, and I would do that Monday through Thursday, but they didn't want you to work weekends. Crazy model. So I was looking through the comic book and saw this thing called Mason Shoes. I still have my actual Mason Shoes kit in what I call my Hall of Fame at my house. And at 12 years old, I ordered this kit because they had shoe horns, they had polish, they had all this cool stuff that you could demonstrate. And that excited me because I think I could sell this. So the first door I ever knocked on was the sales manager for a company called Amory. Amory was the leading organization of in-home selling the day. It's what became Sears back in the day.
And you're how old right now?
I'm 12 years old. 12 years old.
Was there any school in this thing or no?
Well, so I did go to school.
Good question.
When I got out of school. I was not the greatest student. I think I graduated high school with a 2.25, right? I'm just being honest. But in college, I got my GPA up to a 3.7 one time. I kind of bribed the professors of Rolex watches, but hey, I got the grades. It doesn't matter.
Always be selling. I like it. All right, so let's go back to 12.
All right.
So you're selling Emery. You're doing. You see this in-home sales stuff, but you're selling shoes.
Right. So I'm selling shoes. I go in, And I go through this start presentation, and the sales manager's like, all right, keep going, kid. And I keep pitching. I'm pitching for like an hour. And then I stop, and he's like, what's your mama's name? I'm like, what? He said, what's your mama's name? I don't understand. Did I do something? What's your mama's name? So I give him my mama's name and number. And he's like, leave. Okay. So 2 days later, my mom said, Robert wants you to meet him at his house at 8 a.m. Saturday morning. Don't ask any questions. Bring your bike and pack your lunch. Like, okay. I still don't know what's going on. So I show up, and he said, put your bike in the back, kid. Okay. He drops me off in a neighborhood, and he gives me a stack of door hangers. And he said, you're going to go up to every door. You're going to put a hanger on the door, and you're going to say, hey, if they're there, would you like an estimate for siding? This is the greatest thing in the world, and we'd love to set an estimate for it. That's all you got to say. So I put out like 250 hangers that day. By the end of the day, he picked me up, like he gave me a quarter. I called, it was actually a dime at the time, called, and he picked me up and put my bike in the back. Like I worked like 10 hours my first day. And then that evening, they started getting calls. The next morning, he said, kid, drive your bike downtown, meet the boys. This was Sunday morning. So I walk in at like 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. Imagine guys hungover, reading papers, drinking bourbon. And it wasn't National Bourbon Day, I got to say.
Not National
Every
Bourbon Day
day.
on Sunday morning.
Every day is National Bourbon
And,
Day.
you know, they're placing
Especially on Sunday morning.
bets on horses. They're doing all this stuff. And
Oh
they're
my
in,
God.
they're in line to go and close out their deals from the week prior. So I'm watching guys go in to the sales manager, the guy who I originally pitched, and come out with $2,000 and $3,000 cash in their hand. I'm like, what? I mean, you gotta understand something. I mean, like where I lived, we were so poor. The rats were so big in my house, I kid you not, that we had to put a metal plate up on the door because I would lay in bed at night and I would listen to rats chew through that door coming in to get me. And I could not sleep at night because I just knew I was going to get eaten alive. And I made a commitment that I would never be poor again. I didn't care who I had to kill. I didn't care what I had to do. I didn't kill anybody. Never will, hopefully.
All right, we'll keep it on that.
Keep it on
so
that.
It hasn't killed anybody yet.
No, and
Yeah.
don't plan on it.
Keyword. Yeah.
That's key. Not going to happen today on National Bourbon Day for sure.
All right,
But
perfect.
like,
Because he's got a driver. We're
I
perfect.
got a driver. I'm good. But the point of it is, it was a time in my life of sink or swim, right? So I'm watching these guys get all this money, and I'm like, I don't care what I got to do. I need a piece of that, right? So at that point, these guys started bringing me in because they didn't have relationships with their sons because their wives wouldn't glamorize what they did. So I became an extension of their family. And these guys would give me money to go to school for lunch. I remember one time that somebody had stole my bike at school, and I couldn't get down to run leads. And I told one of the guys, so he told his son that, somebody stole Paul's bike. So they went and beat the guy up and got my bike back for me. I mean, like I was so valuable to these guys. I would sit across the road when they were gambling, and I would sit and watch for cops, and I would whistle. I mean, like this is the type of life that I was brought into. But for me, I didn't know that it was wrong.
Now, did he pay you that first day after the $200?
$50.
$50.
Oh my
That's a lot
God.
of money, man.
$50. You gotta understand something. I was making a grown man's wage. I was paying the bills that my mother had at 12 years old. I made $50. That was a grown man's wage, $1.65 an hour.
So, all right. So you are in now with the Tin Man. You just didn't know it at the time.
I had no idea.
Right. So you're out there, you're hanging the door hangers, you're doing all this stuff. You go in there on a Sunday morning, you see this. When do they actually allow you to go and start selling in the house?
So they used me different ways at different times. So at 13, they started using me to do what they call the ride along. And this is very, very cool for them. This is to tell the story, but at the time it was kind of weird. So they would have me sit in the front seat of their Cadillacs. And you remember those aluminum Rayovac flashlights that had the red end on them?
Absolutely had one. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what?
They had the big D batteries.
Big D batteries, the big aluminum. Yeah. So they're these, what they would call them camp
Camp
flashlights.
camp
Really,
flashlights.
they're big. All right. So you had that on you.
So they would go in the home and they'd be selling. They're like, kid, do your homework. Do not turn on the dome light. Use this flashlight. Do not stop using this flashlight. Okay. So I'm listening to them. I'm using the flashlight and I'm doing my homework. So they're in the home about an hour and a half in. And they say, Mrs. Jones, would you care to check on my son? Like his mom died and I have to bring him along with me. And he's out there doing his homework. And she's like, well, we're an hour and a half, 2 hours. He's not had anything to eat. Well, would you care to go check on him? That's the cue. So they always come out. They check on me. They invite me into the home and they say, son, are you hungry? Would you like some meat? Yes, ma'am. I'm very hungry. That was my cue. And then the guy in the back would be, if we're cooking, we're closing. If we're cooking, we're closing.
If we're cooking, we're closing, babe. There you go. Gold nugget right there. If you're cooking,
Ding,
you're
ding,
closing.
ding.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is classic. So they pimped you out like that as, hey, my baby can't eat and I got to sell something for him to eat.
And they always close the deal. Like, and then at 16 to move forward, they're like, kid, we're moving you to flower duty. I'm like, what's flower duty? Shut up. We tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. So there was one flower company, specifically Statewide Home Improvement, which was a big company in Texas, was our competitor. And they would deliver flowers to companies, to homeowners that they just had sold a job to, and they had a 3-day rescission. So they want to get flowers in the mix. So there was one guy every day at 4:00 from Monday to Wednesday that would deliver flowers to companies that they set leads to. So my job is I would switch cars, and I was trained how to follow and case cars and not get seen. And I would follow the delivery truck to the houses to see where they delivered the flowers. And then I would go to a payphone. I would call back to the office and say, look, it was 2111 Walnut Street. So they'd go to the left and to the right to that house and say, ma'am, I talked to you about, aluminum siding or vinyl siding. They'll be like, well, we got an estimate of the day. We're getting ready to do the job. What's the price? I will beat it by $1,000. And they'd flip the job.
Oh my God. That's another greasy ass gold nugget right there, man. He would case it, run it. I mean, if this isn't like make a mob movie, I mean, this is.
But so far, it's sounding all legal. It's just
it's
intense.
It's 1,000% legal, right? But, dude, this has got balls to it. Let's go. All right, keep going.
So, and what I learned about these guys, selling was so easy. They would challenge each other. Not only do you got to close the job or close the deal, but you got to break a piece of their furniture. You got to hit their car in the parking lot and still write the contract. That's
like a challenge.
It was so easy. It was so easy. And then they would walk away each night with $2 or $3, $4 grand, and they would go
Are you kidding me right now? Wow, how about that?
I mean, it's true. Yeah. They would go to a restaurant and now we'd who could get the girl to flash them or something. I mean, like, it was a lifestyle that you just couldn't imagine. It seemed so surreal, but for me, it just seemed normal because I didn't have the exposure of kids. I didn't have any family. These guys brought me in. You can explain something about this business. You didn't get into this business unless somebody died or went to jail.
All right, so the turnover wasn't big then, because today, I mean, today's world, roofing, siding, sales, anything in the home service industry, a huge turnover. But back then, no turnover.
Not when you're making that kind of money.
No. Right, that's coin, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna leave it. And the way they made their money, they targeted what we called the mountain towns, the coal mining towns. We go into, Whitesburg, Kentucky, and Virginia and North Carolina. You got to understand, these are towns that most people didn't have any TV, no exposure to the real world. And you would go in and they've heard about these fancy looking guys on TV. They've read about them maybe, in a magazine, but they never seen anybody wearing a Cadillac, driving a Cadillac or wearing fancy.
So they were excited when you rolled into town.
It was a show. And what we would do, these guys were so cocky. I remember riding to Murphy, North Carolina, and they would go into these towns and they wouldn't have any money with them, right? Like they were going to close the deal. So somehow they didn't close. Then we had to do to a fallback. And they would do this con they called recharging lightning rods.
All right, here we go.
People in the mountain towns, they had these lightning rods on the side of their house, and they believed if they were electrically charged, your house couldn't be struck by lightning. So these guys would take these battery chargers and put bells and rig them up to where when they put like the clips on them, and they felt like their lightning rods were getting charged, that was $75. And then they would run another con. They would go to the local hardware store and say, my grandmother's, chimney is really falling down. Can I borrow your ladder? Here's my ID and here's $25. They'd borrow your ladder. Then we'd go randomly through little communities and do chimney inspections. Climb up on the roof, and you take a spike and you bust a brick loose. And you come down and say, ma'am, you got a brick loose. It costs you $75 to replace it, and go up and put it back. That's the type of stuff that people did. This was a world that went on for years and nobody knew about because nobody talked about it. Like 10-man code is you can tell a 10-man by looking at their eyes, right? You can know a real 10-man knows a real 10-man. But like it's a secret society that people didn't understand. So you had people come in from Long Island, Staten Island, Boston, come into these small towns. And they would do everything. One of the big cons was FHA loans. They would go in and sign people up in the 80s for these FHA loans, which they could get 15, 20 grand. They'd sign 6 or 8 up in a neighborhood.
And this is the FHA loan would be set up so they could get the house fixed back up to where they wanted to and get the loan so they can get the siding done, the windows done, or whatever you're selling.
It'd be 15, 20 grand.
All right.
And then once you submitted it like clockwork, it was 5 days for the mail got delivered. They'd case out the neighborhood. They'd steal all the checks. They would endorse them to themselves and they'd leave town. I mean, that's the type of stuff that happened. And then when they were doing siding jobs to get financing stuff back in the day, they would do the front of the house to have the companies drive by just to see the front done, but they wouldn't do the sides or the back, just the front to get the rest of the money released, and they would skip town. So this was such a unique time in life that people just didn't understand.
And this all started for you when you're 12 years old, you're trying to sell a grit magazine, and the first door you knock on.
Well, with the shoes, I was doing
the shoes.
And
you were hoping to make a buck and go get yourself a RC Cola and put some peanuts in it.
Yeah, that was it.
There you go. All right, so you're 16, flower man. Then you keep going. You're like, this is where I'm going. Yet you mentioned that you ended up still going to college. Which a lot of people, I think, if I'm doing that and I'm making coin like that, and then I get a chance to go sell. Oh, I'm definitely rolling that, man. Those bricks are flying. And I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. No, I'm kidding.
And you're like, how much do I get if I bang their car and break the furniture and still close the deal?
Dude, I am so in on this.
So at 18, these guys actually wanted me to be better. They wanted me to have a different life, right? So I'll never forget
What do you mean? To not be like them?
Because they failed with their own sons. I was a chance that they could actually get behind to do something with their life.
Wow.
And they got behind me in that. I'll never forget this. At my high school graduation, they pulled 50 Cadillacs in the parking lot, and all the 10-man were sitting there in the audience, their flask are banging in their jackets, woo, they're shouting and screaming. They give me $3,500 for college. And I went to college at East Tennessee State University, and they wished me the best. And they're like, you're better than this. Don't spend your life in this business. And I should have listened to them, but actually had a taste. It was hard. I met a guy named Joe Chate, who lives here in Atlanta today, who started Pace Setters, which was a huge company. Also Dixie Home Crafters with Hugh Harris. And he was my mentor. He took me under his wing. I talked to him yesterday, and shame I couldn't spend time with him, but he brought me into Pace Setters. But I went to college. So in college, I started working on a degree in marketing and communications. And I was doing play-by-play for like basketball and different things. Crazy story.
He probably could have taught a couple of the classes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely could. So I met a kid named Mark Carrier, whose father, Larry Carrier, used to own the raceway in Bristol when it was called Bristol International Raceway. And that was back in the day when Mark was actually a boxer, and they had the World Boxing Federation. You can look it up. It's legit. On premise at the raceway. So he's like, come to the boxing match one day, and he said, watch me fight. It was ESPN taping. It was on a Sunday night. I get there, and the ring announcer, it's a crazy story. You didn't even know this about me. The ring announcer didn't show up at all, right? And Mark's like, wait a minute, Paul. He's like, you do play-by-play at ETSU and everything. He said, you think you can ring announce? I said, hey, I can try anything once. So the tuxedo kind of fit a little bit. I put it on, and I ring announced my first time ever on ESPN2 on a Sunday night in 1989 at that time. And his dad's like, him and a guy named Ron Scalfey on the World Boxing Federation, like, this is phenomenal. Why don't you come and travel the world for us and be a ring announcer for our boxing? Because when we go to Guam and different places, they love a American sounding announcer, and you're a little guy, so you make the fighters look bigger, and you can come back and do your signing leads on the weekend. So I quit school at the time. I was a junior. I ended up finishing. I came back, but I traveled for over a year with the World Boxing Federation, going around the world and doing announcing. Then I would come back and I'd sell signing jobs. And then I ended up getting my degree when I came back. And this is a crazy part of the story you don't know, is I was in a pizza place in Morristown, Tennessee, and I ran into this wrestler at the time, a guy named Chris Jericho. And big wrestler, Dave, everybody knows who he is. He's like one of the top wrestlers in the world, but you have to be a wrestling fan to know. But he's like, hey, do you do boxing or something? I was like, yeah. He's like, I saw you on TV. And he's like, I got a call from Dusty Rhodes and Ted Turner at WCW, and they want me to come down and do a tryout. And we would love maybe you to come down, man, because they want me to find a ring announcer for some tryouts. I just got to interject. We're catching this arc, right? He just said, hey, man, go to college, go do this thing. Now, next thing you know, he's traveling the world, talking for a living, which clearly you can tell already he can, doing this. And then he meets, and now we're on our way. So we just went from boxing to let's get into wrestling. Here we go. So he's like, hey, we'll share the gas. We'll go down. So I went down. I met Dusty Rhodes. I met Ted Turner. I met Johnny Ace, all the promoters. I met Ric Flair. I met Tully Anderson. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. Kill me for getting those two across. And I started announcing, doing all the regional loops, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Kentucky. Any show that came, I did all the house shows. In the 90s. In the early 90s. But now here's where I really start making the money. Then I go working full-time for Reynolds Aluminum in the distribution business, and every single contractor is a wrestling fan. Oh, let's go. So now I say, listen, if I could get you an autographed picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin, saying my nickname in the business for years was Bones, because I was so easy. So easy, so little, so skinny, that they called me Bones because I was so thin. And so I would say, if I could get you a Polaroid saying, bye from Bones, would you give me your business? So when I was on the road with them that weekend, I would get a Polaroid of them holding the sign, buy your signing from Bones. So when I come back, I was selling all the contractors and all the home improvement guys. And then when they would come to Knoxville or Nashville, I was. All right, so the Reynolds Aluminum, that was B2B. That was not B2C. And yeah, I got you. All right, yeah. So then I'm dealing with contractors again. So I kind of switched out, because for me, I always wanted to see what was on the other side. Like, I just didn't want to just get kind of pigeonholed, and I kept moving. Brother, you are not pigeonholed at all right now, right? Even though we're still in the business.
And sometimes there's people that just grind their whole life, but the opportunities came to him in a couple of just really random ways. Right. And then he jumped on it. Yeah.
People say that all the time, it's, if I just had this opportunity, luck, I'm just not lucky. You could tell this dude's been hustling all his life, and that's how luck happens. You make your own luck, and I believe in that 100%. Your destiny is made all on your mindset, to your actions, to your character, to your habits, and that's what makes it happen. So, yeah, and it's just about connections. Those crazy stories, like you take Dave Yoho that you heard me speak at. Like, I heard Dave the first time when I was 12 years old. I was signing guys at the Ramada Inn in Nashville, Tennessee, on the third row, and I looked at the guy beside me. His name was John. I said, one day I'm going to be on stage with Dave Yoho. He's like, get out of here. You're not going to be on stage with Dave Yoho. 40 years later, my destiny becomes true. Now I'm on stage, and I'm acknowledged and respected and speak all the time when I have the opportunity with Dave, and with Rick Grosso, and with Rodney Webb, and with Tony Hody, and all the guys in our industry, because
For me, it's about paying your dues. I respect this business. Everything I have comes from this business. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I sacrificed my whole life for this business because what it gave me, now I train 20,000 people a year because I live to give back, to allow anyone a chance to live their dreams like I had the chance to live mine.
This is awesome. All right. We got to go back though. Sorry. So did you really meet Ric Flair?
Oh,
that's the big insightful question.
I have
because I met him
hung
twice.
out with Ric Flair. I've hung out with all the Four Horsemen. I've drove them around. Like my first initiation in WCW, I got put on, I don't know how I can say this politically correct, but little people duty. So I had to drive little people around in a minivan. And let me tell you something.
No pun intended.
Oh,
when
my
little
God.
people are mooning out the window or running around on the bar at Shoney's, it's hard to lasso them to kind of keep them under control.
How about that? There's a mental image for you. I can't lasso the little people running on the bar at Shoney's. I've arrived, motherfucker. I've arrived. Here we go. All right.
I'm just telling you. So my role was interesting in the wrestling business because it was more of an agent, and then I would handle a lot of things. You gotta understand something. I didn't have any social skills. I did not know how to pick up women. I didn't know how to talk to women. My ability to have a little flair and hustle came from the wrestling industry because these guys would be like, all right, so my nickname, my name they give me in the wrestling industry was Paul Diamond. That's
all right. So that was your
Station.
announcer name, Paul Diamond.
Paul Diamond, right? Even I have a passport under Paul Diamond. Crazy story. So Paul Diamond, here I am. They're like PD. So I was P. Diddy and Paul Diamond way before there was another P. Diddy.
See, you were P. Diddy before P. Diddy was around, baby. Let's go. There you go. We got the OG P. Diddy. I got that down.
Don't get me. It's okay. You're still making more money than I am. So, but I don't care. But anyway, so they would say, well, we'd like to, meet a redhead tonight or a blonde. And I'd go out and after and say, hon, Chris Jericho watched you behind like the curtain and he would really like to meet you, to hang out with you later. So I would take these women back and let's just say that scenarios were created to build my confidence. And because of that, it started changing my life. And I took that confidence and I went back into the home improvement industry. And I really loved like selling, but my true passion was I wanted to train and educate.
Okay.
So I took an opportunity with Alcoa to be able to travel and to be a trainer and educator. And then they got sold. So I ended up at Ply Gym. And then I was a trainer and educator for them. And then I got recruited by Crane and then on to Royal and Westlake. So my role now is as a consultant. I actually consult 235 of the top remodeling organizations in the world, US, Canada, Australia, and I write their sales scripts. I do their canvassing programs. I create their lead generation approaches. Every aspect of their presentation tools in the home. So now I get a chance to truly impact. And what I love about my story that started bad, now it's into good because I teach people to do it the right way, to be legitimate, to actually be more of a consultative selling professional, sell a solution more than a product and help people.
So Chris shouldn't be knocking bricks off of chimneys.
No, I would not suggest starting that.
Man,
but you should write down redheads build confidence.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking that one up.
Okay.
And I want Paul Diamond to go there. Hey, Paul, I need you. Hey, Bones. I want little
Paul
people.
Diamond.
I want little people running on Shoney's bar.
You need a good nickname.
I
work on.
I do, right?
Yeah, I call Ric Flair. You said you hung out with him twice.
I have twice actually.
He could give you a nickname.
Actually, the first one was he was hitting my wife.
Oh, was he really?
I've seen one.
Yeah,
He's a cool opportunity. Yeah, the shotgun approach. I have a feeling
he did.
Yeah.
But,
so you've stayed in the industry. How many? So when's the last time you were in a house actually working with somebody selling it?
So I was in Long Island. I try to get in the house at least 3 times a month because I got to keep a pulse on the
3 times a month. All right.
Yes.
That's key right there.
That's a gold nugget.
That is a gold nugget because here you are. You could be big fat daddy going not because you're not because he's bones. You can't see this on the podcast. He really is skinny.
He's not obese.
He's not obese like I am. By the way, I had to go back and
You guys are skinny.
No. His doctor. He's medically clinically diagnosed as obese.
So I went in for my physical last year, and she says, "Oh, we got to get you checked. Your A1C is a little high." I said, "Oh, well, what's it been before?" She goes, "Oh, we haven't had to check it, but now that you're obese, we have to." I'm like, and I'm a big guy, and she was a little lady. I was on the table. I'm like, do what? Whoa. And I was like coming at her like this. She goes, if you lose like 10 pounds, you'll be solidly overweight.
Solidly overweight is your aspiration.
Yeah, that's right. That's my workout thing, because I work out like 4 or 5 times a week. And so I'm gonna get a shirt that says striving for solidly overweight.
You gotta, listen. Even the losers need a leader. You got to believe in something.
There we go. Losers need
so I want to back up a second, and I want to tell just a few more key, awesome 10-man stories that will absolutely blow people's mind. One of the greatest sales practices that I was taught was the sandwich close.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If we're cooking, we're closing. Okay. Now we're sandwich closing. All right,
sandwich close, right? So you walk into the home, and first thing you say, Mrs. Jones, where's your kitchen at? Oh, it's right down around the corner. Okay, so you walk in, and in the old days, people kept bread in the refrigerator. That's what they did. I don't know. That's the way it was.
Right.
So you just open the refrigerator and just start making a sandwich. If they don't kick you out, you close every time.
That is completely different than what I was thinking a sandwich close was. I thought it would be start with a negative, then you get the.
Oh no, that's what sandwich means today.
Yeah.
Sandwich, right? Here, give them 2 positives with the negative in the middle. Yeah. But no, so they literally.
This is a literal sandwich.
Grab the refrigerator, pull the handle, and start making themselves
which
a sandwich.
Is so ballsy.
But if you didn't get kicked out,
by the way, my accountant wife,
she would.
No, the bread's in the fridge.
Well, it should be. Yeah, that's smart.
That's what we did back in the day.
All right, so let's go back. But if a salesman actually came in here,
can you imagine?
You know what? She's a docile, very nice lady. I think she'd bludgeon the dude.
Chris, I challenge you.
I'm thinking about doing that because I got to go meet Ellen's wife to sell her a little something else. So I think I'm gonna go right to the I'm gonna go right to the kitchen. Go, all right, I'm coming in. I'm gonna start making myself a sandwich. I think her jaw would absolutely drop. Going, what are you doing?
She doesn't take jokes well, but I would be willing to pull that one on her.
All right, I got 2 more that are classic.
Here we go. Sandwich close. That's all right. We're going. If we're cooking, we're closing. We're sandwich closing. Keep going.
Raccoon close.
I can't wait to hear this shit. Oh my God.
The raccoon. So you're in a house in a wooded area, right? And they got like wood rafters and everything. And you're like, Mrs. Jones, I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed some teeth marks up there around your gables and everything. You got raccoons? I don't think I got raccoons. I think you got raccoons. I saw teeth marks. I said, you really need aluminum siding up there to keep, because these raccoons will get in your house. I don't really think so. No, they will. They get in your house. So what you do is in the old days, we worked in teams of 2 all the time. Like one guy would sit in the living room, I sleep the kids, one person be high pressuring, husband and wife, but it was always 2 guys in the home. That's the way it was in the 80s and 90s.
I didn't remember that. How about that? Ooh, we have to work. All right. So you got to work in teams.
It's a 6-hour pitch, right? This isn't a 2-hour tour. I mean, I would bring.
I want to talk about overcoming objections in the 10-man world. But anyway, go ahead. Raccoon.
I would bring sleeping bags home. Say, if I didn't close the night, boss said I had to sleep here. But anyway, it's about setting that precedent. So we did a raccoon close. So we'd get them in the living room and everything. And you say, Mrs. Jones, you care to get a glass of water? So I had one guy, kind of keeping her on ice. And so I'd go let's say I wouldn't, but somebody would go in the kitchen to get a glass of water, right? I don't want to implement myself. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. So they would go in and you see a loaf of bread sitting there, you take the bread and you tear it up and throw it all over the floor, right? And you come in, Miss Jones, you got to come in here. Those raccoons, I told you had raccoons. They got in the house, they got in the bread.
Oh my God.
And people fell for that.
And you had to get aluminum siding. I want aluminum soffits. I want the whole thing. Exclusion. That's the exclusion.
I want an aluminum fence.
Oh my God.
All the time.
All right. Raccoon close.
Raccoon close. The next one, which is a legendary close, and it was actually created by a guy here in Atlanta. I cannot say his name because he would whack me because he's crazy like that.
I thought you said we were past, they were all dead.
Well, except this one.
Lock the doors, Ellen. Lock the doors. Yeah, well.
Let's sit back to back, Chris. You look up those ones.
All right. That's right.
This one's called the
gun.
This is called the FU close.
Oh, that's right up your alley.
Oh, this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
So you go in the home and you say, let's say this home's 1,200 square feet, right? Should be 13 grand. And you're like, Mrs. Jones, this job tonight's going to cost $28,000. What? It's going to cost $28,000. No, it's not. Oh, yes, it's going to cost $28,000. Well, I'm not going to pay it. Yeah, you're going to pay it. No, I'm not. Oh, yeah, you're going to pay it. I'm not going to. Yeah, you're going to pay it. Get out of my house. I'm not going to go. Get out of my house. Nope, can't make me. Get out of my house. I'm going to call the law. All right. So you get the door and she's trying to throw you in. You go, F you. What? F you. You may have said some other words, attached to the F. And she's like, what? And you're like, F you. All the way to the car, you're double F'ing her, right? And you get in the car and you leave. Well, the next day, the lady in the office calls and says, Mr. Jones, Paul was in the house last night. I'll change my name to protect the innocent.
Right.
And how'd it go? Oh, my God. It was horrible. He came in and he gave me this crazy price and he told me to F myself. What? He did what? He told me to F myself. Ma'am, I got to call the owner of the company. We'll call him Mr. J, is not going to be okay with this. And I'm telling you, this is not our company standard. So Mr. J called up, ma'am, I am so shocked with what I heard. So what did Paul say to you? He told me go F myself. Oh my gosh. What price did he quote you? Well, it was crazy. And ma'am, listen, I sincerely apologize. First of all, he's fired immediately. He is terminated. No question. He's fired. But I want to come over and I want to see your home and I want to bring you a special gift. So they come up with flowers. They come up with candy. They show up and he quotes you how much? $25,000. You know what, ma'am? I'm going to sell you this job at half price for $12,500, which is about what it should have been anyway. They drop, close the deal every single time.
That could work, Chris.
I think that totally works. Yeah. I love this idea. All right. So I'm not saying again to keep everybody innocent. I have gotten a call and the guy says, yeah, I just want to give you a customer service experience. I'm horrified at what's happened. And I'm like, yes. I said, well, he's immediately terminated. Oh, I don't want anybody to get fired. Of course you do. You don't give two shits if my firing guys or not. I'm like, oh, no. We're going to do that. Can I send somebody else out there to make it happen and get this all fixed up for you? I apologize completely. Never have fired any of those guys. In fact, two of them have been with me for like 8 years. They're great, but it's just one of those things where you can't meet everybody. You can't meet everybody. But I like this in the sales approach where they're just like absolutely putting the incendiary right there. Boom. We're going to light you up, girl. We're going to light you up. And then when he comes in tomorrow, ooh, I like him. I hate him, but I like you. And that's what you want, right? Because they buy an emotion and justify logically every time.
There was so many things these guys would do. Like they would bring in their little briefcases and they would put baby monitors in their briefcase. And then they would, condition the price and they'd give the lady the price and her husband say, I'm gonna go out the car and get a warranty. I'll come back. And they would go sit and listen to the baby monitor to see what he said to know to come back in and close them.
Oh,
I think
it's called the baby monitor close.
That's a great idea.
Too, yeah.
So guys use this today with the iPad. So put an iPad in the home and put in their AirPod, and then they'll set out the car, leave their iPad in the home, and they'll be out there. I'm just saying. I hear that.
I've heard this.
I have a feeling you're going to scrap your existing notes for your next sales meeting. You got some new boys. I got some new ideas.
Boys, all right. Yeah, look. So I pick up these great devices. They say they're FBI approved. I want you to start dropping them when you're walking around the house.
It was just a time like these guys would live for cons. I knew one, like he traveled all the time. He would fly in different areas, to run cons and hustles. Like Arkansas was a hot market. Baltimore was a hot market. Any of Alabama, any towns where it was like a very rural area. So he may fly in somewhere and he'd always keep a fake Rolex watch with him. And he would go into the airport and he'd just walk up to me like, sir, I apologize. Actually, I just had my wallet I must fell in my back pocket in the bathroom. Somebody stole it. I can't find it. And I needed just some money to get home. And I don't have a lot of money, but I tell you what, I'll give you this Rolex watch I got, and then you could just mail it back to me whenever you get home. And they would give them this fake Rolex watch. It was like $8 for like $150. And of course, the people, they never send the watch back, right? They keep the watch. Yeah. And this is how they use seed money to go from place to place.
Jeez. Oh my God.
You can't make this up.
You can't. You know what? This movie is amazing.
Did you stay in touch with any of those guys? Like after, they gave you the money to go to college, you made good. I mean, did you have any like special friendships with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 of them today that I'm very close with. A lot of them went to jail. A lot of them died. Some of them were shot. That's just the nature of the business.
Shot by homeowners?
Well, shot by homeowners or their wives or jealous husbands or boyfriends. I mean, these guys were womanizers. This was not a life to be proud of. It's not something I'm glamorizing by any means, but it's all I had. I didn't have any influences. I didn't have a father to play baseball with me. I didn't take vacations. I worked 7 days a week, and my work ethic today is I will outwork anybody. You will not beat me because I can't be beaten because I don't know anything but to win. And that's what I took from the bad and turned to good. And I spent the past 2 days training sales organizations about there's a button inside of you that I don't know where it's at, but you got to make that decision to push it. You got to find out your cookbook or what your recipe is to make you great. It's about how much you want to, how hard you want to work, how important it is to you. It's not somebody else's fault. I call it the honey badger mentality, right? Honey badger is the fiercest animal in the animal kingdom. He will bite the head off a cobra, drink his venom, take a power nap, get back up and fight an angry cheetah because it's what he does. It's that mentality to win.
You know, the button, you know, I can only lead you there. You're the one who has to push the button. That's another gold nugget.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this all the time. They either get it or they don't. And when they don't, it's just time. You can't push them. You can't push a rope. In this case, I can't find that button that you're going to push. It's up to you to find that button. I'm giving you all the skills. I'm trying to train you as best I can to build your skills up. It's up to you to go out there and execute. And if this is not for you, this is not for you. And,
Right.
and I'm saying it's the same in the sales thing, but I'm still going to go out there and start chipping bricks. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
That's my biggest gold nugget out of this whole thing. I got my sales guys already. I'm already arguing right now with dental picks.
Ready. You know, it's about being humble. And what I do is my style's different. I don't come and talk to you about the fancy cars I have. I don't want that life. I don't need big houses, right? You know, I got everything I have, but I'm committed to this business to give people a chance to be able to do better for their families and know that they can succeed and be anything they want if they just believe. They just have to believe. I want them to look at me and hear my sad story and say, if he can do it, so can I. If he can do it, so can I.
So let me ask you this. So you were trained, as you said, you started in the bad and now you're working for the good, but you're in 3 homes a month.
They love me. They love me in the home. You know why?
Well, sure.
They love me, baby. Hey, I love that.
They love me.
You know, I just got done saying that thing because I went and did a basement remodel estimate with one of my guys, you know, again, getting out there, working with the guys doing it. And they love me.
Well, I'm assuming that you're not making a sandwich. I'm assuming that you're not throwing bread on the floor. So how?
Yeah. So what's your sales?
The house is sick and I'm the expert. I wear my lab coat, my stethoscope, and it's my job to write a prescription to make your home healthy again, because that's what a consultative selling expert does. You may have issue with trapped moisture that can lead to black mold, mildew, termites, all these things that can be detrimental to your own safety, your own happiness, and the health of your pets in the home. What are little things that are going on? If gutters pulled away from the house, that's a $400 fix. But now the water's run down, rotted all the wood fascia, and down in the baseboard, it's a $12,000 repair. What are things going on in the home right now that we cannot ignore to discover and find a solution, expose the pain and close the solution to make it better?
And there you go, Michael. That's the one I wanted you to hear because I told you I couldn't tell you the better way to say that. And that's why you're listening to it. Who's Michael, by the way? One of my sales guys who said, what do you mean? I said, when you see a hole in a sill and you're sitting there going, we can replace this sill and it will be $450, maybe $500. Oh, that's too much money. Or we can let it sit there for another year. And then you can run out your basement, run out the entire house that you've got. And then we can come in and we can remodel this whole thing for you in the entire basement. And we're talking about $75,000, $85,000. It's just up to you. He's like, all right, when's this episode coming out? I said, don't worry, brother. It's coming out in July. So he can't wait for this one.
The price is a price is a price. Like the price doesn't matter. Price only comes in when there's not enough differentiation in the value proposition.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all it's about. When I get done exposing the problems you have, the solution is a solution. Whatever it may cost is whatever it may cost. It doesn't matter. If I don't make these problems go away, you're going to have bigger problems.
I think we're going to give Paul an honorary doctorate. He's a doctorate of homes, so he's Dr. Trusted Toolbox now.
There you go.
Well, I really love what
Paul.
you all are doing for the industry. And that's why I wanted to come and share this story here, because I need advocates to get the message alive, because so many people, they take this opportunity of this business for granted. They don't appreciate the chance they have to influence people and make a change. And to me, that's what I live and die for. You could take everything away. Like we were talking, my friend and I were talking earlier today. It's like, how much money do you think you can make if you were selling the home? So I can make $500,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, but I'd be miserable because I couldn't make people better. It's not about me anymore. It truly is. When you project greatness out to the world, that's when it truly comes back to you.
Yeah, amen. I love that part. You actually hit on it, because that's not what success would be. Can you go out there and ton it? Sure, you could. But if you can teach people how to go out there and make a lifestyle for their families that works for them, boy, that's even more powerful. And that makes you feel even better. Having 44 employees right now who can take care of their families and do their thing for their families has been amazing for me. And that's, I think that part's great.
Haven't you noticed, though, over the time that we've done all these podcasts, there's a consistent theme of people who had a really rough start appreciate the opportunity they have, and they just hit the world like they've been shot out of a cannon. And there's just no substitute for that. Somebody that grows up in the suburbs and they had everything handed to them, they don't know where that button is.
You know, and we brought this up before. So my dad was he was a second generation born here, but my grandfather was the first one of his family born here, and he worked his absolute ass off. And my dad often says now, he says, do you think your grandfather could even comprehend the house you live in now? I said, no, not even a chance. No, he wouldn't even know what his great grandkids, which he actually got to hold one of them before he passed away. He had no clue how he did that. Yeah. So, but there's something to that, right? A little bit of fire in your belly needs to be there. Right. And that's a phrase we don't talk about a little bit now. Right now we talk about, well, you can't say fire in the belly. Why? Well, I'm sorry. Was that wasn't PC?
Really? We eliminated that too. We've canceled that.
Yeah, maybe it might be. But so that's the thing, and that's what you can hear that with Paul when he's talking to him. He's obviously just so dialed.
Yeah, I wish people could see him. I guess they can. You've got it. You're recording this, right?
It'll be on YouTube.
He gets really animated. He gets fired up. You see it in his face.
You got, I saw him do his and here's another thing I would tell you. So I got to meet him at this conference. And I got to meet and interact with him off the stage, right? And so we're getting Paul off the stage. When I saw Paul go on the stage, this is sales, 100%. You saw him over there, and I've done it before because I've done presentations. You sit there, you got to clear your head, you got to get yourself ready to go. You got to get in game mode, and you got to go. And he says, I was talking for him. He goes, hey, man, I'm getting on in 15 minutes. And I'm like, I know exactly what we're talking about.
Right. Leave me alone.
Got to go.
Yep.
And he got up there, man. He delivered an awesome speech. I mean, he kept me engaged the entire time, telling great stories. I loved it.
You've got the attention span of a gnat. So well done, Paul.
Yeah, that was hard to do, my friend. You have no idea.
Yeah, he is a human hummingbird.
What? Where are we? Whoa, hello. Are we
Squirrel,
back?
Squirrel, right. Shiny object.
Well, I think you hit on something important. What I focus on, people don't really remember what you said, these things. What they want you to do is give them a reason to believe. They want to know that there's a reason for them to believe that they can be successful, because people come up to me afterwards and they say, you know what, man, I had hard times. I understand. I'm going through something you talked about, or I related to what you said, because I'm the guy that's approachable. I'm not the guy talking about my Range Rover up there that I sold my business for 20, 30 million. Man, I'm proof that a loser can win. I'm proud to call myself a loser. I came from nothing. And in my mind, I'll always, it's hard for guys like me to ever be successful, because we're always afraid of being broke and like poor again. And that will always be what'll hold me back to being a millionaire, because I can't let go of that safety net, right? Because I had nothing, and what I have now is great, but I don't really want to reach for more because I'm comfortable with what I have. I have more than I deserve. But it's just about letting people know that it's okay. It's okay to not be a good salesman. It's okay to be a bad manager. It's okay to fail. That's what you're going to do tomorrow. What you're going to do tomorrow that's going to make you great. How much heart do you got? How much fire you got in your belly? Let's use that analogy, right? And that's what I strive to try to teach people. I'm not the best looking guy. I don't have the fanciest clothes. I don't have the best car, but I promise you one thing, I got more heart and I care about each and every person that comes. Any person that wants to learn, I will spend as much time with them as they want to help them become better. That's what this business is about. And that's the commitment we make and we should make, keep this business alive.
I love it. Love
Amen.
it. We are taking care of people's number one asset in all their portfolios. I say that over and over. For many people, it's their number one asset, not only financially in their portfolio, but 100% emotionally in their portfolio, because that's where you raise your kids. That's where you put your head in the pillow at night. That's your domicile. If you're an introvert, that's where you get to go hide from the world. If you're an extrovert, that's where you get to go entertain. This is your number one asset in your portfolio, besides your family, your faith, and everything else you're doing. So this has been amazing. And I hate that we're coming to the end. This has been amazing. So, Paul, before we go into our famous 4 questions, let's talk about that book one more time, because that sucker's coming out, and I am honestly, I got to be on that list. I'm on the early bird list.
You got a release date?
Yeah, so this has been so hard for me. Like, I have almost finished this like 8 times. And every time I get ready, I pull back because I'm like, who am I going to offend? Will I be blackballed? Will people look at me different for exposing a business that's never been exposed? It's never been talked about. But here's the thing. The message is not what they did that was wrong. It was what they did that we were able to take from and do better. That's the message. Is all of that led me to be able to influence and change the world in a positive way. So I'm looking at a 6-month release date because I'm working on the artwork for the book a little bit, but this has been like, it's very, very emotional for me. Like I've actually had a movie deal offered to me and I turned it down because I don't want to be a sellout. I don't want to be known as the guy that cashed in on a gift that was given to me to make money, because that's not what I'm about.
So who are you working with so I can go steal that idea? So I'll cash out. I'm kidding.
Gus Russo.
I'm kidding. All right. So do you have a working title for the book right now?
Tales of the Last Known Tin Man.
Love it. All right. We'll make sure we put that in the show notes. We don't have the thing, but we will absolutely be 100% on board when that sucker comes out. Honestly, outside looking in, as a guy who wrote a book.
Yeah, go ahead, rub it in.
That's right, big boy.
Thanks.
It's a great book, by the way. It's an amazing book. I'm
Thanks.
just saying, the zoo, hook it up.
I hear you. I love it. But I think this book is going to be amazing. And I don't think, honestly, you haven't offended anybody. I think because everyone who reads that or watches that movie or absorbs that in the industry or outside the industry knows that we got better from that. That's the way it used to be done. That's not the way it is done now. And so that's where I think I'm anti against that. I think it's 100%. Because I love that. You know, when we get in a sales meeting, I said, all right, boys, who did the raccoon clothes last week? Because everyone's going to go, ha, that's not what we are, because we're the trusted toolbox. We can't cheat people. Exactly right. That's what makes us better, right? Let's go. So that's how we roll.
But you could do the sandwich clothes.
I
could write some for you.
Thank God Judy's not listening to this, but yes, I'm going to go in there and I'm start making.
Maybe just do the coffee clothes. Just go pour yourself a cup of coffee. Just to
Oh my God, that's amazing. All right, Paul, thank you so much. How can people find you just to hook up and find out more about what you're doing?
Yes, so you can go to LinkedIn under Paul Burleson. I'm very fortunate to have almost 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. You can connect with me. Part of my experience with Westlake Royal Building Products, if you use any of our products as a consultant with Westlake, I provide free training, consulting to any existing customers of Westlake Royal, which is a great deal. So I can come in and consult you. I can write a business plan for you. I can design a selling system, and they pay the bill. So
Westlake Royal, if you want to hook it up and get into business, a lot of us are out there trying to figure out which business to get in, where to go. I went to this conference, and a lot of people have always said to me the concept is you start at one, you buy one, and then you keep one, hold one. Hold one, sell one, hold one, sell one. So when I went up there, I got exposed to so many really cool people at the Dave Yoho conference. Dave Yoho, of course, just a legend. He said he was going to be at DC. He was going to be in the Memorial Day. He was. He said he was going to be at the White House meeting with President Biden on Monday morning, and he was. This guy is an amazing guy. So the fact that I got to meet you, Paul, was amazing, but I've got to ask the last 4 questions, our famous 4. Number 1, what's your favorite book you'd recommend to everybody?
I go back old school to the book that changed my life, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie.
Beautiful.
Nice pull. All right. Number 2, what is your favorite feature of your house?
My speakeasy I built in the basement.
Let's go, Tennessee.
How does that work in your own basement?
I love it.
You have to let yourself
I
in?
took a door and I made it into like a library shelf, and I can either push the book or get drunk and fall into the books, and the door opens. Either way, it works.
All right. One of the things that we're big on is we're customer service
Freaks.
Let's go. When you're out there getting service, whatever, restaurant, buying stuff, doing things out there, what is the customer service pet peeve of yours?
As the customer.
The fact that they follow their agenda of telling you what they want to tell and not listening to your needs, not asking you what you need. Do you want regular water? Do you want mineral water? Is the seat too close to the door? I mean, is this area quiet enough for you? Is this table accommodating you well? Could I give you something more? There's no needs analysis. It's about you're here and it's all about me, working towards the tip.
I love that.
And not about the focus about making your experience rememberable.
It's always got to be about the experience, needs analysis, because you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes people don't want to sit there and they want to sit somewhere else and they want the backdraft. But they're too meek to say something about it. Great call on that one. All right. Last one, which is my favorite. Being in the home improvement business. And I do a lot of inside work. We do a lot of bathrooms and kitchen remodelings here in Atlanta. What is a DIY nightmare story of yours?
So I think there's like 1,000 of them that happened during COVID, because what happened, COVID made people think, okay, I got to do this stuff. There's things here that need to be fixed, so I can do them. I can YouTube how to install a window. I can YouTube how to put up siding. So from an industry standpoint, during COVID, what it did was it created so much opportunity because it educated the homeowner that they're not educated, that they can't do this on their own. So it spiked sales at Home Depot. It spiked sales at Lowe's. It spiked sales for Powell Remodeling, Champion Home Improvement, Window World, Window Nation, Home Fix, all of the big guys, because people don't understand what they don't understand. And when they understand, it's too late. So the other thing that people got to understand about DIY nightmares, and I love this statement, I've said it twice in 2 seminars this week: the sweetness of price is gone after the bitterness of poor quality remains.
There we go.
Classic.
And we're going to love that one and let that marinate right over you. Just let that wash on over you. Write that down. You're right. You're in the car. Don't write it down because I don't want you to anybody. All right.
You sounded like
Stop
a
yet?
hypnotist there.
Don't do it. Are you there? Stop. All right. Stop. Now write that down. Say it again.
It's marinating.
The sweetness of price is gone after the bitterness of poor quality remains.
Bang. We're out of here. This
Mic
is
drop.
amazing. Let's go. That was amazing. Small business. Let's go make it happen, right? Adventure team, you got to keep going up that mountaintop of success. Whatever that is for you, you got to keep rolling. You got to keep driving it. You got to keep drilling for it. But you picked up some nuggets today. And if you didn't, that's shame on you, because you want to replay this sucker and watch it one more time. Listen to it one more time. We're on YouTube. Check us out on any podcast source you want. Don't forget, I'm begging, man. Show everybody what we're doing. Tell everybody what's going on. Get that good word out there, because we're making a difference in the industry. Let's make it happen. Get out of here. We got to go.
Cheers, Paul.
Thank you. It was such an honor.